Welcome to Rush Roundtable number 48. I'm Tim Derling from Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Happy to guest once again on the show. On this episode, imagine walking into your favorite bowling alley or restaurant and there's a jukebox there. Now, whether it's digital, whether it plays CDs, or whether it plays these funny old round things, what Rush songs would you like to hear on it? We made two lists. One, any 6 songs from the Rush catalog. And number 2, 3 sets of 2 songs from similar time periods. We had a lot of fun with this episode. We hope you enjoy it.
Hey everyone! So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to tell you a song we're currently hooked on, or we're going to shout out a song. Today just so happens to be Monday, October 19th, 2020. It is the 27th anniversary or 27th birthday of Counterparts, 1993. So if you're not hooked on a specific song, we'll say give a shout out to a Counterparts song. Show Counterparts some love. So Kira, why don't you go first?
All right, so funny enough, the song that I've been hooked on this week actually happens to be from Counterparts. It's one of my favorite albums. It was in my top 10 of top 10 albums, which we did that episode recently. And the song I've been hooked on this week is Stick It Out. Love it, love it, love it. Love the heaviness. Fantastic song. Really gets you going. Amped up. It's great. Love it.
Awesome. Eric? Eric's on mute.
I'm going to shout out Cut to the Chase. I think it's a fun song. I think it's a really cool guitar solo. That guitar solo always stands out to me on that album. So I'm going to go with Cut to the Chase.
It absolutely does. Pat, you're next.
I'm going to give a shout out to The Speed of Love, because I think it's the most unappreciated song on the album. It's kind of stuck in the middle. You got some bangers before, and you got a lot of good songs after Double Everyday Glory, and it's often forgotten. But I think The Speed of Love it has a great beat, and I really do like it. I have a soft spot for it. So,
okay, I'm gonna shout out, as you mentioned, Double Agent. It's one of my favorite Rush songs in general, generally speaking, and it's easily my favorite off of Counterparts because of that. It's got a nice heaviness, but a nice, I don't know, it's just got a nice vibe about it that I just enjoy. Tim?
I actually just listened to Counterparts this morning. I'm going to give some love to Cold Fire. I like that one.
Awesome. Cool. All right, so we'll get into the topic here. So we each composed, or each created 2 lists. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Ryan, aka Junior, who was going to come on with us tonight. This was actually his idea, this topic. Due to an emergency, he was not able to come on, and we don't have his lists either. So, but just a shout out to him because this was 100% his idea. But the show must go on, so here we are. Now, this idea is songs you choose to play on a jukebox. So most of us are young, so jukebox is really not in our day, but it's still a really cool idea. So because of that, we decided to kind of take this in 2 separate routes. We created 2 separate lists, each composed of 6 songs. List 1 is the entire catalog the entire Rush catalog is at your disposal. You can choose any 6 songs that you would want to play on a jukebox. Now, the jukebox could be any place, a bar, restaurant, banquet hall, a bowling alley, whatever. I mean, anywhere. If you have a specific scenario that you want to explain for yours, go ahead. And list 2, we took, thank you to Tim, we took kind of a more realistic approach. Just singles only, 6 singles, and tried to keep it, 2 in a row or sets of 2, 3 sets of 2 songs, kind of in a similar era, or perhaps even on the same album, for singles for that. So without further ado, we're gonna go around the round table, and we're each gonna read off our first list, which is again where the entire catalog is in play here. So Kira, you are first. Go ahead and read your first list.
All right, guys. Well, there's many songs that could work for this. I kind of just picked like the first 6 songs that popped into my head today. So, written down here. For side A, I got my first song as Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres, Turn the Page, Digital Man, Stick It Out, Driven, and One Little Victory. And these are just songs that kind of get me like really hyped up when I'm listening to them. These are some songs that like if I'm studying, I have to just like stop studying and listen, and I'm dancing, and it just really gets me hyped up. And I can see if I was with some friends out at like a bowling alley or a bar and these songs came on, that we'd be getting up and we'd be dancing. So that's my list for side A.
Now, how would your friends feel that they hear Cygnus X1 Book 2 come on, Hemispheres?
Well, so Hemispheres, I was kind of inspired by this by our admin, Matt, who really likes Hemispheres, and he actually played it on a sort of jukebox recently at his school in his cafeteria. So I was like, you know what? My friends that I've introduced that song to really like Hemispheres. They actually like it better than 2112. So I figured like, hey, this would be a really good song. Even though it's long, it holds your attention. So.
Okay, cool. Eric, list 1.
Yeah, so I kind of went the route of, if I were at mainly the place I've seen these jukeboxes where you get like the whole catalogs at a bowling alley. And, I've tried to play a couple Rush songs on them, and whoever I'm there with is like, what is that? And then they're like, go skip it. And I'm like, no, I just put that on. What do you mean go skip it? So I went the route of, I tried to choose 6 songs that I think would give people a taste of what Rush is, and then, they might like it. So I kind of stuck with more generic, I guess you could say, songs. So number 1, I said Working Man. Number 2, The Trees. Number 3, Limelight. Number 4, New World Man. Number 5, Animate. And number 6, The Anarchist.
Okay. I could see those as fairly normal-ish. That wouldn't get skipped in a bowling alley. Maybe the trees, though. I don't know. People could be, unless they're all high and bowling. All right.
I tried to get a taste of. I tried to get a taste of each era.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Pat.
So my goal for this was to find songs that were kind of fast-paced and short and sweet, something that will get you out of your chair. And I think half of them, are from the early 70s. So I got Need Some Love, Best I Can, Beneath, Between, and Behind, Lakeside Park, New World Man, and Red Lenses. And all those songs are under 5 minutes. And they have a nice, pace to them. And so that's pretty much why I picked those.
Okay, so for mine, I've kind of had this idea in my head for quite some time when Junior gave me this idea. So to you guys' point, bowling alleys was always my thing growing up. There used to be I think it was called Touch Tunes. It was basically like the new school jukebox where it was a touch screen and you could scroll through, and then those evolved and such. But I'd always beg. I did a bowling league on Saturday mornings, and I always begged my mother for $5 to go play 5 songs or whatever. So this is kind of my scenario here as for my songs that I put together. So here they are. Start off with Xanadu, Cygnus X1 Book 1, Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres, La Villa Strangiato, Natural Science, and 2112. For the sole purpose of everyone listening has to hear We Have Assumed Control 3 times at the end of my 6 songs, which I picked 6 of the longest Rush songs just to piss people off in that bowling alley and have Rush be playing for the entire time while I bowl my 300. There's my list.
So what's the total runtime of those 6 songs?
Well, I mean, Xanadu's like 10 minutes, right? 11 minutes. Cygnus X1 Book 1 is what? 13
14?
minutes, 14
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah. Hemispheres is like 19 minutes. La Villa is like 9 minutes. Natural Science, I think, is like 8 minutes. And 2112 is over 20. I mean, probably pushing an hour. I mean, close to it.
Might need to bowl an extra couple strings.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was hoping you guys would get a kick out of that, but that would be my 6 songs that I would choose for this this scenario. So, Tim, go ahead.
This is great. I'm kind of in between. So I thought, if we'll get into this later with the second list, but I'm old enough to remember actual jukeboxes that took 45 singles. But if I've got 6 songs and a captive audience to introduce to Rush that maybe has never heard them before, or maybe has a preconceived notion of what they sound like, I thought I would play some songs that might perk people's ears so that they didn't, like Eric said, they didn't get that, what's that? Like, I'll get that off of there, or, that sort of reaction. So I wanted to pick songs that were, in some cases they were singles, but in most cases I just picked songs that were, that would go well, I think, in mixed company. So in that spirit, first one is In the Mood. It's just a great rock song. It doesn't necessarily sound like Rush. It could be any hard rock band from the early 70s. That would kind of glide over easily enough. I picked Tears because I wanted people to, when else are they going to hear Tears? It's never been on the radio, although it could have been. It's a nice ballad, kind of a typical for them. And I think a lot of people might like, oh, that's nice. What's that? And to Ryan's point, I had to be obnoxious just once and go with Hemispheres, just to get bang for the buck. If you're going to pay to have these songs, right, you want to get all you can get out of it. So yeah, Hemispheres. Subdivisions, just simply because I think it's one of the greatest songs written on the planet Earth. Time Stands Still, very accessible. I don't want to use the word poppy, but for them, I guess it kind of is. But it's a very cool song. It did get some airplay. People might remember the video. So, and then finally, and because it is Counterparts Day, and because that opening riff is just, the best, Stick It Out. So those are my 6.
Okay. Awesome. Well, you got Kira dancing, so it seems to have worked. Kira, it's your turn to go through list 2. Again, list 2 was taking more of a realistic approach in terms of just choosing singles, and I'm not going to read off the list of singles or anything like that, because that could be, give or take, there might be a couple songs that are inaccurate or something like that. So if that is the case and you've chose one that's not actually a single, those watching, don't hold it against us. This is more of a thing for fun and to get creative. So Kira, why don't you go ahead and we'll go through list 2.
So I found all these singles on Wikipedia. So these are verified singles, I promise y'all. But this side is more like Rush's hits, because a lot of their main hits became singles. You didn't really see like deep tracks as singles. So this is more like classic Rush, quintessential Rush. But to start off, I have The Spirit of Radio. Like, come on, you gotta like have The Spirit of Radio. You have to. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite Rush songs ever. It's still in my top 10 all these years later. That one always gets me out of my seat. And even I found out that it's a really good song to introduce people to who have never heard Rush, as I found out a few years ago. So it gets everybody out of their seats, and it's perfect. And then after that, I have Free Will, which, come on, Free Will, the solo is just absolutely bomb. When I'm in the car, I'm like, just like tapping on the wheel and stuff. So that really gets me out of my seat too. Subdivisions, one of Rush's best songs. Like, come on, you got to have Subdivisions too, guys. Extremely relatable. I think every single person can relate to this song in some way or another, and it just really applies to everyone. It's a very universal theme. My next one is Between the Wheels. I was going to put another song from Grace Under Pressure, but recently Between the Wheels has completely captured my imagination, and it's more of a deep track, and I think it's an absolute gem as well. And then my 5th one is Caravan. You guys know I'm obsessed with Caravan. It's a song that made me a Rush fan. It's just really like heavy and driving, and it's amazing. And then my next one is BU2B, pretty much for the same reason. And these are also really good songs to introduce someone that's never heard about Rush, but likes heavy rock music too. So that's my list.
Anything else you want to add?
Oh man, I was stuck between a few. I thought about putting something from Power Windows or maybe Tom Sawyer or Limelight, but like I feel like those songs are just like totally overplayed, and I wanted to just like, and I wanted to use Between the Wheels because it's kind of a deep track, and I think it's just really underrated in general. That's really it.
All right. Eric?
So for my first kind of couple of singles, I had Lakeside Park and Bastille Day. I think Lakeside Park is one of their easiest songs to listen to. I know that some of the stuff that comes along, especially later in the 70s, there's so much going on musically that it gets, you kind of have to pay attention to catch everything that's going on. But Lakeside Park, that's not the case at all. It's very simple, straightforward, but still a really good song. And then Bastille Day, I think, is one of their greatest songs of the 70s. It's a lot of fun, kind of neat with the historical references they've got going. My second grouping of singles is Spirit of Radio and Circumstances. Again, for every reason that Kira said, The Spirit of Radio is just a great song. And then Circumstances, which I guess came on side B of that single. It seems to be the lost track of Hemispheres, you know. You get the 18 minutes, 19 minutes of glory that is book 2, and you get the trees and La Villa Strangiato on side 2. And Circumstances would, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is, it just kind of gets lost in there. So I think it's a really good song, really intense, especially when they played it on the Snakes and Arrows tour, tuned down a step. I think that was really cool. So that's a good song. And then my last group of singles, it's going to be Ghost of a Chance and Dreamline. I feel like, again, with what I'm trying to do here, I wanted to get a little bit of every era of Rush. And when you're stuck to the groupings of singles, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I think that those two songs off of Roll the Bones really capture the best of what they were doing off the late 80s and early 90s. Ghost of a Chance, I think, again, is another really underrated song off of Roll the Bones, and then Dreamline is just a classic Rush song. So.
Anything else that you want to add? Anybody want to comment on that?
That's about all I got.
All right.
All
Matt,
good.
go ahead.
All right. So, I once again kind of started off hovering towards their early stuff. And my first one I had Working Men and In the Mood. I think those two songs are arguably could be the two best songs on the album, just because obviously we know Working Men is great. But In the Mood did get sufficient radio time as well. Nothing close to Working Man, but out of the other songs, it did get some good radio time. So I think that would be good for a party. Next, I jumped up to 1977, where I put Xanadu and Closer to the Heart, and I picked those because once again, those are the two. I would say those are the two most powerful songs on the album.
Was Xanadu a single?
I'm not sure, but
it was a video. But I don't think that. I don't know if it was a single, but it's great.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because
out of anything, I would link Xanadu to Closer to the Heart because of its, just because it's so legendary.
Yeah, totally.
When you put Cygnus,
the only reason I asked is because it's like 10 minutes long. I mean,
yeah, that would be the only reason that it probably wouldn't be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But in the hearts of like us fans, it's up there. I remember when I did my first Rush song battle, like years ago, Xanadu destroyed like almost every other song. So if it wasn't, it should be. But next I have this one was actually fun. I did a little research on this one. So we go to signals. I have subdivisions, and then flip that over. You have Tough Break. I don't know if you guys remember that song. That was a song that they recorded with two roadies, and I don't know if you guys know Jack Secret. He did the vocals.
Tony Geranios is his real name.
Yeah.
Long hair. I can picture him.
Yeah. That is like, it's not technically not the catalog, but that is such a gem, and it sounds good too. And just it's literally Rush without Getty singing, with someone else singing. It's kind of crazy.
It's a trip to listen to. Yeah.
It's insane. And I think that would if you played that in a room full of a bunch of Rush fans, you turn over Subdivision and that starts to play, that would definitely turn some heads and raise some eyebrows. So that's why I put that one there. What do you guys think?
It's cool. I wish there was an actual officially mixed version of it. It's really cool.
I gotta check like the lyrics to that too, because I think either lyrically or something it inspired like the when they finished Subdivisions, when they finished recording that, it had something to do with that other song. So yeah, those are my 6 songs.
All right, so for mine, I took kind of a poppier-ish approach, but included some that we would consider hits. Now, I don't believe these are A-side, B-side, but I tried to group them in 3 sets of 2 based on time period ish. So I started off, and I was making some changes to this as you guys were speaking too. But I started off with The Spirit of Radio and Subdivisions. I think those are my 2, I guess you'd call hits for this. And then I went into Marathon and Time Stand Still. Marathon being, I think, somewhat of a deeper track, but I think really stands out. Or I think it's really underrated in terms of the overall catalog, and could have been really a really poppy song. And then next, I chose Time Stand Still, like I mentioned, after Marathon, another one that's poppy. And then I went recent. I put Caravan and the Wreckers, because Caravan being, it doesn't get really any radio airplay, at least here in New York, but it's a little more mainstream, I think, than most Rush. And then the Wreckers. I heard the Wreckers on Sunday Night Football many years ago when the album had just come out. So that got some decent airplay too. So I tried to pick 6 songs that are easily digestible to someone who is not a Rush fan. Again, my bowling alley situation. This is the not be a smart ass list. This is the list of some serious picks that these songs potentially could actually be on the jukebox. And yeah, I think I'm really happy with this, and I think I definitely would play this in a bowling alley when bowling alleys open back up again.
Yeah.
In the States. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Good list. Really good list. Caravan was an advanced single, of course, and they played it on tour. I have a 45 of it with BU2B. Okay. And it got a little bit of airplay when it first came out. In my area. Not much, but I think it was the song that they were using to, this is basically, here's a good preview for what the album's going to be like.
Yeah, promoting the album. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I thought too. Because when Caravan came out, sorry, I'll let whoever that was go in a second, but when Caravan came out, it came out with BU2B, and it was night and day, in my opinion, Caravan to BU2B. Caravan was just the standout immediately. And then Headlong Flight came out as on its own prior to a couple months prior to the album. And that's when I really got pumped up for Clockwork Angels, but that's for another time. Was it Eric that was?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, for list one, I almost had Marathon, and I crossed out at the last minute to put the trees on there, but I almost put Marathon on there.
Yeah. I mean, I really kind of tried to pick relatable songs too that, you know, someone who doesn't, you know, if someone's listening to Rush in a bowling alley or whatever, and they hear Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres Come On or something, they're not going to know what it's about, right? I mean, you hear Marathon, you hear Time Stand Still or Subdivisions, you can kind of relate to. They're relatable lyrics, you know, so that's what I kind of went for. But Tim, take it away.
So I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest of everyone here. I'm 46, so I'm old enough to remember there's 3 restaurants in particular I remember in my area that had jukeboxes where you would go over, and I can't remember how much it cost, but you literally had a single in there, the A side and the B side, the same as if you were to go into a store and buy the single. So I kind of had fun with that. It just so happens that my choices, I actually own them. So the first one, I figure you've got to think if hypothetically you get transplanted back to 1980, whatever, what would be likely to be on a jukebox if indeed any Rush was on there? And especially if you're in the States, I think it would be nonsense to not have their one top 40 single in Billboard, and that is New World Man. This is the New World Man single. And what's cool about this is that Rush were not a band that had extra songs laying around. I mean, they've always said the extra songs, they either take parts of it and made into other songs, which that's their level of, you know, what's the expression I'm looking for? You know, their commitment to a certain standard of quality. But man, wouldn't it be cool to have an album's worth of unreleased songs from the late 70s, early 80s period. But anyway, but there are a few exceptions as far as live recordings. And the B-side of New World Man is a live version of Vital Signs, which was recorded at one of the concerts that ended up making up Exit Stage Left, but it didn't make the album. So you know, somebody could play New World Man, but if I was going to go into that jukebox, I'd play the live version of Vital Signs just because. So that's my first grouping. Second grouping is a well-worn single for Tom Sawyer. You pretty much got to go with Tom Sawyer. That would be in a jukebox, more likely. This is a really bad edit at 3:59. They chopped it all up. The B-side is Witch Hunt. I'd be playing Witch Hunt just because. And then the next one I have to show you here is Spirit of Radio. Now, this one is a promo single, which means somebody wrote all over this. It must come from a radio station. So it says long side. That would make the other one the short side. So this is a really bad edit at 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the Spirit of Radio. This one is even worse at 3:04. They literally fade it out as the midsection is going on. It's terrible. So because they're the same song on both sides, my sixth song, I would say, is Closer to the Heart, which just happens to be on this that I picked up yesterday, the Rush Icon on LP. I didn't need it. Has anyone else ever bought something they didn't need? They just bought it. That's what, this is supposedly limited edition, so I thought I'd better buy it. So yeah, those are my 6. The hypothetical jukebox situation before they went to CD jukeboxes or touch tunes, when you literally had the A side and the B side to choose from. I think those are your most likely. And I also think the reason they're there is because they're the most popular.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. That was a good history lesson too. Thanks for that, Tim. I appreciate that. It's your cat's tail. All right. Anybody else want to add anything to this? Anything else? Any other songs perhaps that, you know, you might think would be, you know, that you didn't include, or that you might think would have made a good song for a jukebox? Or to Tim's Vital Signs live, any songs that are live songs that perhaps you want to throw out there that might be cool for playing in a jukebox?
Well, sorry about my cat
remember,
Jasmine, but I love Vital Signs. Vital Signs is one of my favorite songs off of Moving Pictures. Another one, this is debatable, but this is just personal preference, that I feel like a live version would be good for a jukebox, would be Jacob's Ladder. I really like the version from Exit Stage Left and R40. Either one of those, I feel like would be good to play on a jukebox, because I really enjoy that song. And I like how Tim actually went through his vinyls and found singles. That was a really cool idea, man. I enjoy that.
Thank you. You guys remember when they had cassette singles? No?
There are some in my basement. But...
You got a blank stare from 4 people. So there you go.
Okay. So cassette singles came out in the late 80s, and they were basically taking the place of the vinyl 45s because vinyl wasn't as popular. And they were the same thing, an A-side and a B-side. But every once in a while, they put something else on it. And the first one I ever got by Rush, I don't have it anymore, it was Show Don't Tell. So it had, I got it before I got Presto. It had Show Don't Tell, Red Tide, and then it had the live version of Force 10 from Show of Hands. So it actually had 3 sides, had A, B, and C.
That's cool.
And I'm really feeling old here, guys.
Well, I mean, I was born in '93.
Wow.
Shout out to Counterparts.
Nice.
I mean, cassettes were, I mean, when I got into music, maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 years old I was, cassettes were just about on the way out, and CDs were just about on the way in. So, I mean, my earliest memories were really on CDs. So, and again, on a Touchtunes jukebox at the bowling alley. So, playing whatever was popular. I mean, I wasn't into Rush it.
I got a CD jukebox story that people might find funny. Is anyone here familiar with the band Tesla?
I've heard of them, but I don't.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, I've also heard of them. I don't really know much though.
Okay, so their biggest single was a remake of the song Signs. That was a big hit in 1991. It came out on an acoustic live album, which had about 12, 13 songs on it, and it's very live, and there's a lot of cursing on it. And I can remember my family and I going to, I think, Pizza Hut. They had a CD jukebox, and they had that 5-man acoustical jam CD on there. And I remember thinking, I wonder how long that's going to be on there before they start to get complaints because of the in-between song banter. I just thought that's not a good idea, guys, to put that one in there.
Why do I feel like there was a jukebox at my local Pizza Hut too? I mean, that just popped into my head. I feel like there totally was, and
it just makes sense. Pizza, you put some tunes on. And then there were other places I remember they'd have little ones that were at each person's table. They didn't hold as many, but they were like a carousel type of thing. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, maybe that was it. You'd have to flip through them and pick your songs. But I don't remember those as much.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think I remember that. Like, okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, well, Pizza Hut needs, something else to attract people because their pizza certainly isn't doing it. But all right, cool. That was a lot of fun. Anything else anybody wants to add?
No, that was great. That was a great topic.
All right. Those watching, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what songs you would, play on a jukebox if you had control. And yeah, anyone has any other topic ideas such as this, feel free to leave them in the comments, or if anyone wants to come on an episode, just feel free to shoot us a message on Instagram, and we'll be more than willing to have you on. More than happy to have you on too. So thanks, guys. Take care. Counterparts 27.
Yeah.